Got some breaking news for you. It is breaking transfer news. Now, Brighton have rejected a £40 million bid from Arsenal for their England defender Ben White. Talks continue between the clubs, though, and Arsenal are expected to go back with an improved offer. So
Arsenal Football Club have had a £40 million bid rejected for England and Brighton centre-back Ben White. They are, of course, as Sky Sports have reported, expected to go in with a further bid. The transfer activity from Arsenal has been sporadic, some would say. It's certainly been very, very busy. There's a number of players they're making inquiries into. It's at least the third, maybe the fourth player now this summer that Arsenal Football Club have put a bid in for. They're making great inroads into Ruben Neves. There was, of course, the young Anderlecht and Belgian player yesterday, Lokonga, that they're looking at massively. A £15 million bid rejected for him. It's reported they're going to go as high as £25 million. Of course, we know that they were chasing Emi Buendia. That didn't go through. He decided to join Aston Villa. But now Ben White is the latest player that Arsenal Football Club are looking at. £40 million bid has been turned down, according to Sky Sports News this afternoon. I want your views. I want your opinions. We're going to open up the lines for you to come on and have your say as well. Are you overwhelmed, underwhelmed? I want to know how you're thinking and feeling about that, Gooners. Everybody else out there in the market as well, what is your take on this news? Justin here says Brighton are playing around with Arsenal. Marble Halls TV says we move like we're in Brixton Market. Haggle FC, we're a joke, is what Marble Halls TV has got to say here. See what some more of these comments in a second, because we prioritize that of our members. But we've got one here from Guna, going to Vital, who says, we are a joke of a club. Just leave us alone, Terry. Well, listen, Ben Wright, England international. It's a big bid of £40 million that's gone in for him. Many people maybe didn't necessarily think Arsenal would go for a marquee centre-back signing this year. And remember, it was only 12 months ago that Liverpool were heavily linked with Ben White. A lot of the big Liverpool channels were talking about it. It was seen as a deal they might be able to pull off. But who knows? Who knows? It's an interesting one for me how this is going to turn out and what's going to happen with it. Tamps here, one of our members, says it isn't worth £40 million. Well, Arsenal think he is, and I want to know why you don't think he is. Why are Arsenal going for him if he's not? Do you think that how much? But remember, 40 million has been rejected. It's going to be 45, 50 million pounds to get it done now. We have another Arsenal fan here, man like Tarek, who says we don't need more centre backs. We should be looking at a CDM, a right back, and attacking midfielders. You're definitely looking at midfielders. Highly likely that at least 2 central midfield players will be signed this summer by Arsenal Football Club. And remember, Arsenal's budget is a lot bigger than people are giving them credit for as well. I think a lot more money is going to be spent by Arsenal this year than people expect them to spend. And the variety of players Arsenal are looking at is sporadic as well. You've got the James Maddison situation that they're looking at. James Maddison has reportedly fallen out with Brendan Rodgers. That could help. That could help massively in terms of him coming along and moving out of there. Onana is another top quality player you're looking at. I think Ben White's a good level centre back. There's Ruben Neves that you're in deep talks with. Again, highly talented football player. So it's an intriguing one for me to see what Arsenal can pull off. The problem you face is who else is going to come in for these players? If a club in a better situation comes along, can Arsenal keep them away from the players? I don't know personally. I don't know personally if that can be done. Let's do some more of your comments that are coming through. Tamps again says Arsenal think they have the luxury of signing players for the sake of it. 40 million could easily be used for a central midfielder and a right back. But who else do you have to play at centre back? I know a lot of people say Saliba. Maybe Saliba isn't fancied by your manager. I'm not saying that's right, but maybe that's the logic behind this very move. Blue Moon here says that Ben White has amazing technical ability, Terry. That's why Arsenal want him for £40 million. Jake says Arsenal need a centre back. Arsenal need a centre back as one is leaving. Ben White is not needed, in my opinion. They need central midfielder because one is leaving, and they are looking at central midfielders. I think Xhaka leaving will trigger them bidding for more players. But watch this space. We've got big breaking news tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. in relation to the midfield situation at Arsenal Football Club. Tricks here says, how can Brighton reject £40 million bid? Who do they think they are? He's not worth 40. Well, listen, I hear you, what you're saying, but Arsenal are going to bid more than £40 million for Ben White. Arsenal have already bid over £35 million for Emi Buendia. I think they're looking at that market space between 30 and £40 million players. If James Maddison has legitimately fallen out with Brendan Rodgers, he will be available cheaper if Leicester want to move him on for those very reasons. The fear I would more have is if you miss out on these players, then where do you go? That's the big question. We're going to start going to your calls very, very soon. We're going to share the link on our Discord server. We're going to put it in the chat room feature there. I'm going to post that literally right now. I'm going to post that in there. That's shared if you want to come on and have your say. Get yourself across to that right this moment, please, my wonderful, wonderful people. Let's just do this here. There we go. Got a man like Neeks coming on very soon. Please know, Terry, they'll bid more. It's not my fault. I don't make Arsenal do anything. Another one of our wonderful members here, Paul, says, hi, Terry. I've just joined. Love the channel. Thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate that, buddy. And thank you for becoming an official member of the Terrace. Just in a really exciting meeting, actually, this afternoon, all about the new studio and everything else. So fingers crossed, more updates on that soon. Marble Halls here says, Gabriel and Mari haven't proven themselves yet. White makes no sense. But maybe that is the sense. Maybe that is the sense. They haven't proven themselves. So the club saying, we need someone else. I think that's the logic, right? They haven't proven themselves to be good enough. So the club are looking for someone better. Ben White's an interesting one for me. I remember being called stupid last summer because I didn't know too much about him. Now, a few months later, everyone's telling me he's trash. It's an interesting world that we live in. I'm going to start going to calls now. Man like Neeks is here with us now to give us his thoughts and opinion. What are you saying, buddy?
I'm all right. I'm not too bad. Just finished watching the Finland-Russia game. Seen better games, lacking quality, but you know, you're gonna get those when you have 2,400 teams in a tournament.
Yeah.
Ben White. Now, it's funny. I understand Man United and Arsenal on two different spectrums when we're talking about size of club. But when Man United were linked to Ben White, the outrage I saw and the outrage from Man United fans and the banter from rivals, and I'm sure some of them were probably Arsenal fans. Now, Arsenal fans are like, well, how dare Brighton reject our bid for 40 million? So you want Ben White now? Because when we were linked for him, it was Ollie's making Brexit FC. How can Ben White even fit in? Again, maybe they've accepted that Man United on a different stratosphere, and fair play. If Brighton, a Brighton defender in Ben White is at their level, fair enough. But I also think it's a bit ironic that they were telling us last year how great Gabriel was, even though they had never watched him play because nobody watches Ligue 1. How great Saliba is, and I think Saliba's a good talent. But again, how much have they really watched him? And Mari's a great centre-back as well. Added to that, you got Holding, the experience of David Luiz, who they took from Chelsea. Why are they now bidding 40 million for Ben White? Maybe all those players are just not as good as Arsenal fans made us believe they were as good as. I don't know.
I mean, there's definitely an element of that, and I think maybe there is almost this realization right now. Obviously, we spoke with Dean Jones yesterday about this, and I think Dean is very, very fair in how he speaks about clubs. Arsenal don't know who they can attract. So Ben White certainly will look at Arsenal as an upgrade from Brighton. There's no doubt about it. The fear here should really be first level of fear is we're shopping at that level now, and maybe some of the players you're looking at. So the Sambi Lokonga deal is an interesting one. Most industry experts think it's a deal that Arsenal maybe wanted to do in a year or so's time, not now. But they're being forced into looking at that because other options are going to go elsewhere. If another club comes in for Ben White, are Arsenal going to be able to fend them off, keep them away? As an example, that's going to be the interesting thing here for me. Clearly, there's an issue with Saliba, and I know fans want to protect their players, and I respect that. But the way he was sent out on loan, it's almost there's something about it. There's something about the Saliba situation that tells me he may never really kick a ball in an Arsenal shirt.
My question would be, like, obviously, we don't know the ins and outs, but there's been a few players since Arteta's come in who I guess have been moved on or never given a real chance, and a lot of that is down to maybe disciplinary. The likes of Guendouzi, we know there's issues there. Saliba, who he comes out himself publicly saying that he hasn't been given a good enough chance. And we know the Ozil situation, Kolasinac has gone. Is there? I don't know even is there, but it seems like there's a real problem with Arsenal in terms of the internal dressing room, in terms of the culture around the club. Now, can Arteta fix that? Is he on the way to fixing that? Maybe. And maybe so the players that people are saying are so talented, they're just not going to be the right fit in terms of moving Arsenal forward on a character basis. So some of those talented players have to leave, and you might get in what some may class as less talented, but they fit the culture, and therefore the club can be more successful. Because, a lot of Arsenal fans still say that Guendouzi is good enough to play for Arsenal, but I don't think we're ever going to see him in an Arsenal shirt again. I think he's linked with Marseille, is it? I think I was reading today. That's pretty much done. So I don't know. There's big problems at Arsenal. I don't think it was the topic of today, but they had the bid rejected. Well, they rejected a bid from Aston Villa for Emile Smith Rowe, and it's like, I don't know who's coming or going from Arsenal. Are Arsenal fans even sure about who's coming or going? I know the transfer window is very early in its proceedings, but I think there's a lot up in the air. And at the end of the transfer window, I don't know where Arsenal's actually going to stand.
Mate, you're beyond spot on when it comes to that. You really, really are. And I don't think Arsenal know where they're going to stand. Licks and Neeks, thanks for coming on, mate, and having your say today with us. Really appreciate that, buddy. Thank you very much indeed. Viewers, we're gonna post a poll. I'm gonna post a poll while I'm playing this, but I want to play you some footage yesterday about Arsenal's plans this summer. This is Tier 1 Dean Jones on the Done Deal show with myself yesterday. We're going to put it full screen. Have a little listen to what he had to say.
Players in the transfer market, and they still can't work out who they can get. So they'll try and be ambitious and get people like Odegaard, Fekir, but I'm not sure they can attract him.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I saw sort of the news this morning about is it Albert Sambi Lokonga. You said that, a bid rejected for him as an example. Do you think they're likely to go back in for that kind of player, or aim for that tier above? We've seen Fekir mentioned Odegaard. There was all the links to Donny van de Beek in the last few days, which I thought were a madness link, to be fair. I cannot see. I know Donny's desperate for game time, but I cannot see him leaving Man United to play for Arsenal.
No, it seems unlikely, doesn't it? I think he will be frustrated at United, but ultimately it's going to be a different type of frustration going over to Arsenal. So I don't think that's really where his mind's going to be at right now. I think, go on.
No, sorry, go on, sorry.
I'm just going to say with Lokonga, it's they're in a boat like everyone else is, and everybody's trying to lowball people on bids because nobody really knows where the market's going to settle on the back of the year we've had. Like, it's an experimental market. You saw United try it straight away off the bat with Sancho. I'd said for ages that United were hoping, certainly a few months ago, that they could land Sancho for closer to 50 million than 100 million. And it was more a case of like, why not at least try that more than expectation? And I think that taking that across the board, all teams will do that because you just want to save a few million. And look, a team like Arsenal, from what I'm told, they want to sign like at least 4, hopefully 5 players in this market. And they're not just players that come into the squad, they're players that are competing for the first 11. So if you're doing that, then you've got to be careful with your budget. I think they'll have a bigger budget than most people expect them to, but it's not going to be like £250 million. So it's just a case of trial and error, really. And people will go in with low bids first. And it just really to get a sense of where you're.
And that's what Dean Jones had to say yesterday. It's worth checking it out. It's on the homepage of the Football Terrace and the Done Deal Show. Dean honestly is exceedingly well informed in the market and in the industry as well. And listen, Arsenal have got a budget. They're looking for 4 or 5 first-team players. But where are they shopping? And they don't know. Listen to what he said at the beginning of that there. And the great thing I like about our conversations, we don't just speak about deal like this. It's a nice conversation. But Arsenal don't know who they can attract. They don't know if, Ben White wants to join them if Liverpool come back in. So they are looking at multiple players right across the spectrum as it stands right now. We're going to take more of your calls very, very soon. Arsenal do have a budget, though. They do have a budget. It's not gargantuan, but it's a little bit more than people think. 4 or 5 first-team players they're looking to bring in. There's no doubt about that. The point is, can they deliver it? They just don't know. Aside from all of that today, Jadon Sancho update as well. I want to just, it's very, very quick. It's not a major update. It's just worth noting. There's one more stumbling block now, and it's involved in the same process as normal. There is one more performance clause that needs to be finalized. Man United and their legal team primarily and the financiers have been working via the intermediaries to come to an arrangement. They now, Man United, believe they're almost at a point where they think they're going to be able to structure the add-on in a way that Borussia Dortmund would accept. Dortmund want the add-ons to be completely connected to Man United's income as a football club, revenues that are generated, especially through, of course, the brilliance of Jadon Sancho. Man United have initially wanted it to all be based on footballing achievements. There is going to be a happy medium. There is going to be a kind of go-between in relation to that. It's expected in the next 48 hours that Man United will present that officially to Borussia Dortmund to see how they think and feel with it. So United have been working on it. I know there's a lot of updates every single day around this has happened, personal this, personal that. Nothing else is being discussed right now. Personal terms done out the way. The player wants to join. It's highly likely the next major conversation to come out of the Sancho situation is, will he be given the number 7 shirt? Everybody's confident that it's going to be done. Nothing has been delayed so far this summer. Nothing is protruding so far this summer. It's all where it needs to be at this point. Man United fans, stay relaxed. Jadon Sancho to Man United is becoming ever, ever closer. We can take your calls on that if you want to speak about it. But the big breaking news this afternoon is that Arsenal Football Club have had a £40 million bid rejected. A £40 million bid rejected for Ben White. We have a poll currently going on. Is Ben White Arsenal quality and worth over £40 million? 49% of you right now have said no in the voting system that's available in our live comments section. Keep voting on that. Marble Halls is back with a comment that says, Terry, do we think that we have a better window? But who do you think will have a better window between United and Arsenal? I'd worry if you get more than Sancho. United will sign more than Sancho this summer. Depends who we sign. Man United have made inroads into Declan Rice. He has now confirmed that he will leave London if an adequate bid comes in. Man United are looking at a centre-back, Raphael Varane, number 1 target. Kieran Trippier is a legitimate deal that Man United have put an official bid in for of £10 million. Ati has said, no, we want 30 million. There'll be an in-between. Most think between 15 and 20 million will get that deal done. He's someone that Manchester United want. The Declan Rice deal only happens with the sale of a number of players. Lingard is a player that Man United are going to look to actively sell. He wants Champions League football, though, so that may be difficult. Anthony Martial is a player that United are actively looking to sell. If they pull that deal off, that generates the money to then maybe go in and look at a Declan Rice, who currently is 30 to 40 million pounds above what Man United have as a budget to spend in that particular area. Plus, Declan Rice wants big salaries, over £200,000 a week equivalent. United need to recoup that money. If they land their targets, it'll definitely be a better summer, but we know with our board. We're taking Arsenal calls here. Pete says, Arsenal reject bid from Villa for Smith Rowe. That's huge. I mean, that in itself is absolutely gargantuan. When did that bid come in? Because I didn't see that news before I went live. And do you know what I like about that? Didn't Smith Rowe just sign a new deal? Is he in the process of signing a new deal? Is that the way this is working? And if they are going after Smith Rowe, oh, that was an hour ago. That is, wow, that is absolutely gargantuan. Are Villa preparing themselves for the sale of someone? Now, yesterday, again, we had Dean Jones on who said no. He said that Villa are actually looking to just bolster their squad. Some are going to put two and two together here, and they might end up with 47, but they could end up with 2. Are Villa telling us something about Jack Grealish? Man City, Chelsea heavily linked with him. But Emile Smith Rowe, let me say this to Arsenal fans. If you don't improve with a football club, it may not be this summer, but at some point, you lose Emile Smith Rowe. At some point, you lose Saka. They are class on the grass, and they're not going to stay. They're not going to stand around. Emile Smith Rowe is signing a contract. If Villa want Emile Smith Rowe, it's Grealish swap deal. Love it. Listen, we're going to go to more calls here. KJ still to come on the show a little bit later. Donny James still to come. But we're going to go to a Spurs fan here. Man like Leaf is with us. What are you saying, Leaf?
Hi, how are you? So, Arsenal fans, don't worry because you can still watch your league wins in color. We have to go back and watch them black and white. So it's okay. But I was shocked to see that Arsenal have a big budget and 40 million for Ben White. Well, that is the right price. It is too expensive, but that is the correct price because he's English and he plays for Brighton. But then the question is, if you have 40 million, why not go with to another center back? There are so many center backs that you could get for much cheaper who are younger and better. So, but Arsenal, this transfer window, they seem like they're going everywhere. They're so frantic, looking at Bissouma, then looking at Aouar, then bidding in for Ben White, and then getting rejected from Norwich for Buendia. They just need to pick a target and go for those specific targets. But otherwise, honestly, Arsenal can improve a lot, and they can challenge for top 6 if they can get the right players, because the end of the season was quite good for them. And if they don't have a collapse like they did, the mental collapse that they did in the first half, and Arteta probably won't be as bad as in the first half, then they might go on and probably beat West Ham to 6th or 5th place. So like you can still sign some good players. However, on the other hand, if you're getting rejected for all of these players, then you need to go for lower targets, and then that's a problem for Arsenal, of course.
I totally hear what you're saying there. I really do. Leaf, thanks for coming on and having your say. I think one thing Leaf said that was important is around it's the targets. It's who you're going to go for. The Smith Rowe thing, though, in the back of my mind is this. If he sees Arsenal get rejected, could that change his mind? Maybe not to go Villa. But do you know what's funny? Do you know what? You can't say never. 2 weeks ago, everyone was going, I remember Arsenal fans laughing, saying there's no way that Emi Buendia would pick Villa over us. Next caller on the show is going to be man like Dequan. What you saying, buddy?
What are you saying? Thank you for having me on, Terry. Ben White. And I talked about this a couple days ago as well. 40 million for Ben White. I'm thinking there's other positions that need to be prioritized. And this club actually makes me laugh so much as well. Because we're out here trying to bid 40 million for Ben White. We can't even do that with Emmy, but we need like creativity in that. And I'm just thinking, exactly. And I think, I agree with the people that you had on the show. Like, we need to come to concrete targets, because if you're just right now, Arsenal are just being frantic, so many linked with so many options. Like, you just can't run out of options, And I'm just thinking, you just have to have like 4. I mean, yeah, Arsenal want to sign 4 or 5 players. I get that, and I totally get that Arsenal do have a budget. Most, more than I even thought they had as well. So I also get that part as well. But at the same time, we're in the midst of the transfer window. We need to reduce the amount of targets, focus and hone in on like a few targets, make the bid, agree the personal terms, and then the deal's done. Because if you drag it out, then Arsenal are just going to get finessed for those targets.
Mate, listen, and I totally get where you're coming from in relation to that, and Arsenal need to be very, very careful here. I understand why they're being sporadic. I understand why they're having to shop around. I understand all the what's, the whys, and the hows. They need to be mindful that sporadic approach may put people off. It really, really could. Listen, thanks for Daquan for coming on and having your say. I really appreciate that, buddy. Top man. Thank you. Derek here with the super chat says, do you think Arsenal will get back into the Europa League next season? I don't think they will. It will depend massively on who they sign, but also what the teams around them do. So look at Villa's ambition right now. Villa's ambition should be scary. Villa's ambition is to try and take Arsenal. They've taken an Arsenal target, a main target, a player that they went for twice in the transfer market before attempting to sign Odegaard. They're now going after one of Arsenal's up-and-coming talents. They may not get him, but that ambition should be applauded. Do you know what that message that sends to the dressing room, Villa? Buck your ideas up because we're going to spend and we're going places. At Arsenal, doesn't feel that way. And actually, I think Ben White's a lot better than people are giving him credit for. I think Ruben Diaz is being scoffed at by Arsenal fans. And there is a part of me that thinks, I understand that you want to go for Grealish, you want to go for Sancho, you want to go for Haaland, but you're just not there anymore. And you're just not. And it can't be done. I think Arsenal fans need to level up a little bit in all intents and purposes there and understand where they are right now. Man like KJ is with me now on the channel. Welcome back, bro. What are you saying?
Yo, you know what? Yeah, first of all, I feel like people give Ben White a needless stick. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's done anything wrong at all for the stick that he gets. You know what I mean? People make out like he's terrible and he's awful and that he's not a good player. But I swear everyone was twerking for him like last season just after he got promoted with Leeds. Like I don't know why I'm going with that, but the energy is not right for me. But yeah, like 40 million is too much though. I feel he's a good player, but I don't think he's 40 million yet. So that getting rejected ain't too bad. You know what I'm saying? Arsenal got a lot of centre backs though, so it's a weird one. They've already got I think Nick's listed them all. You got Mari, you got Saliba to come back, you've got Gabriel, you've got Chambers who can play there, you've got Holding who can play there. Going in for another young centre back doesn't really make sense unless they are selling Saliba. But you'll hear mixed reports about if you're selling or going. So yeah, Arsenal are in an interesting spot right now. Do I feel like it will be all doom and gloom? No, I feel like they will sign some players, maybe some left field ones. But other than that, they might actually have a good window still. Like you never know. And I feel like someone asked if they would get top 4 or top 6. I think they will. You know, a season outside of. Listen, I'm sorry, Terry. I know. Literally, that's what's distracting me because I'm just like, I know that you're distracted by it. The one legit, I don't get any messages throughout the day. As soon as I come on stream, everyone wants to chat to me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like a season outside of Europe, Aubameyang will be back firing, I believe. Lacazette will probably have a better season than he had. Actually, two-phase season wasn't even that bad for Arsenal. But a load of players will come back and they probably will do well. It's just right now in terms of the transfer strategy, it's not looking too good right now. I think once this season, the transfer window goes on a bit and you get to see a clearer picture of who Arsenal are going for, then you can properly rate it as good or bad. But for now, it's too scattergun to even say anything, personally.
Yeah, listen, I totally get where you're coming from. I think Arsenal fans have got to calm down a little bit. I don't think their targets, I don't think Ben White is a bad target. I don't think the one that strikes me as mad are the amount of people I'm seeing almost fuming over the Ruben Neves links. Ruben Neves walks into this Arsenal team. He had a quiet season last year, but the whole of the Wolves situation was a little bit tired and everything else last year. And I think people have got to relax on that a little bit. Maybe this young kid they're looking at, no one really knows who he is, so no one can really judge. But Arsenal, for me, are shopping where they need to shop in. They're looking to do what a lot of us said they should do: bolster the squad in numbers, so add additional quality in numbers as opposed to one-star player. Build that squad up over the next couple of seasons, and then start to add in the stardust of whoever then is the next Grealish or the next Sancho. But you've got to get back into Europe first, because that's the one thing I'd say where they might struggle, even with Ben White, even with Neves. If somebody comes in higher up the table for those players, Arsenal will find it difficult. They really will. We've already seen that with Villa. It's likely to happen again because Arsenal Football Club, they do not know who they can attract. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, Emile Smith Rowe bid from Aston Villa. What do you make of that?
It's just Aston Villa showing their ambition, showing that they're trying to make moves, and that Jack Grealish, some people are trying to make out like, oh, that means Grealish is going. But no, not necessarily. Like, I feel like Aston Villa are literally they're trying to show Grealish that actually this is a place that you can grow and build with. Look what you just said about Arsenal, about Smith Rowe, about the Sackers. If your team doesn't improve and show ambition, they will leave. So why can't Aston Villa do the same thing for Jack Grealish? Show ambition, go out, improve the squad, knowing that you're staying, and try and move and build forward. I feel like that's what they're trying to do. The only way Jack Grealish goes, honestly, if you're seeing 100 million plus from a club who comes in and tries to does that, because the 80 million ain't gonna do it. You know what I mean? The 60 million ain't gonna do it. So you have to be extraordinary amounts of money, and also there has to be the squad space. The two clubs that are in for him, Aston for Grealish, are Chelsea and Man City. Where does he fit in that squad? So they also have to then start to get rid of their players out of their team before they can even go into get Grealish. And then once that happens, by that time, Aston Villa might have done their business and be like, yo, Jack, boom, here you go. Like, and his mind might be already made up by then.
Yeah, this is very true. And again, as you say, people are going to put 2 and 2 together and make whatever number they want. It could mean they're planning for the exit of Jack Grealish. They could be doing both. They could be planning for his exit, but also showing their ambition. Because, as you say, if Man City walk in with a mammoth bid, it might just change Grealish's whole outlook on things. And that's the thing this summer. You're going to see a lot of that. Equally, I say this to Arsenal fans. I don't think Smith Rowe will go. I'm not saying that. But when a bid comes in from another team, when you look at your own team's motivations and dealings in the market, people's minds can be changed. And I don't think Villa would be the right move right now for Emile Smith Rowe personally. But it's interesting that Villa felt they could do that. Like, I don't really remember too many times in my lifetime where a club of Villa's size and stature have gone to one of the so-called big six and made a bid for one of their best up-and-coming young players they want. Like, normally you see a Villa going after a Willock or going after a Reece Nelson that are fringy. So it's an intrigue. It's intriguing how Villa feel towards Arsenal in this scenario is what I would pull on there. I have a super chat that says Villa will only bid for Emile Smith Rowe if they know there was a chance of getting him, potentially letting Saliba and Emile Smith Rowe and Guendouzi go in the summer. The 3 above will be worth £150 million and will sell for 50. That's an interesting take there with the super chat from him. Cage, listen, we'll keep you on because we're going to get Tade on and we're going to get Igao on as well. Who else is backstage? We've got a few other people we're going to get on as well. We're going to throw some multiple calls here. I haven't done this in a while, actually. I just got to change the background to that. We're going to get Tade on with us here, and we're going to get Igao on with us as well. Hey, how you all doing, gents?
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Yeah, very, very good. You're on mute, Igao, just to let you know, brother.
I'm pissed off.
Yeah, tell me why.
No, because look, I get it, but I feel like there's a thing. Everyone's saying Villa's being ambitious, but you also realize that Real Madrid just a couple of minutes ago also said that they would take a swap deal for Emile Smith Rowe and Odegaard if we gave them money. People are actually at this point throwing things out there just to see if it sticks. It's not really going to ever happen. Emile Smith Rowe is not going nowhere. I'm more pissed off at the fact that Villa's being praised. If Arsenal bid £50 million for Jack Grealish, we'd get laughed at. we'd be like, oh, you know what you're doing. You're bidding under value. In my opinion, 25 million is a slap in the face for Emile Smith Rowe, especially a young academy player from Arsenal, a team that does not have a lot of English talent. We need to keep our English talent for the English quota. And on top of that, this kid's going to be a star one day. On everything else, what pissed me off today, even more than that, William Saliba being linked to being sold, Guendouzi already being linked to being sold. What are we doing? It makes no sense. We have young up-and-coming players, and we're getting rid of them for no reason. It's frustrating. It's annoying. I'm pissed off. I don't know what else to say. This is what the media wants. They want us to be triggered. They want us to be going crazy. And I've noticed, guys, guess what? 4 o'clock every single day. Just stay tuned. Arsenal transfer news comes out of nowhere. It's like a rabbit out of a hat.
Yeah, but do you know why it's 4 o'clock? It's the in between the games. All the transfer news is coming out in between the Euro games right now. Tade, from your point of view, are you as frustrated as Igal with this news today? Ben White rejected and teams going after Emile Smith Rowe. What's your thoughts, mate?
Well, first and foremost, I've been frustrated about Arsenal, generally speaking, not just about this, about the whole shambolic transfer window, really, because I think it's got to a point now, like we're like a laughing stock in every department, in the transfer as well. We're like a laughing stock. And the reason I say this is because you can see the ridiculous bid that they're using to bid on Xhaka as an example for 12 million. It's so ridiculous now that the stock value of a lot of players have gone down within our club from the eyes of people looking outside because of the way the club is being run. You know, now, if you look at the likes of Ben White, for instance, I said it the last time I came on your show. In my opinion, I feel it's a bit too much because I would really like to sit down and understand the yardstick of how they come up with these prizes. Is it the age? Is it his quality? What are the yardstick that they put in place to actually put money on these players? First and foremost, this guy doesn't have experience in Premier League apart from one season, right? So for someone that has experience in Premier League for one season, and you're putting like 40 million, for me, that's ridiculous, especially for the mere fact that I'm of the school of thought that thinks that the amount of money that's been spent on football nowadays is becoming mind-boggling. Really, it's becoming ridiculous. It's becoming stupid, in my opinion. It's just too much. And if you think about it, Rob Holding was the best player in Bolton before we bought him for 2 million. He was the best player in the Championship side in Bolton, and we got it for 2 million. So the question is, and I'm not comparing Ben White to Rob Holding, I'm looking at the idea that you can't be spending 40, 50 million on a player that's just had 1 year experience in the Premier League. I feel before you can put 50 million, you need to be convinced of this guy. And I keep using someone like Pepe as an example. Granted, Pepe came in from a French league and all whatnot, slapping 72 million on him because he did very well just in 1 season. It is not enough for you to be slapping this money on players. It's just ridiculous. Then if you look at the whole Arsenal and Aston Villa comparison, like Igel was saying, the last time I came on your show, I was also saying it that we don't really know what plan Aston Villa have. We don't know if Aston Villa are planning to gather all the stars. We don't know if they want to become the next Man City. It is possible they want to do that, and that's the reason why they're going out for all these players. And it's also possible the reason they've got Bundia is to play alongside Grealish because they have a plan in play.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? But all these are speculations. And what KJ said earlier, I totally agree with him. Man City cannot just go and splash money. They have to sell. They've got lots of talents. They have to sell some players. If say, for instance, Grealish needs to come to Man City, they need to get rid of some players. Maybe Sterling or Mahrez or I don't know.
We spoke about this yesterday with Dean Jones, and you're absolutely spot on. So Bernardo Silva is highly likely to leave. That's the player. That's the guy. That's the ticket. He wants to go play in La Liga. He's made it very, very clear to Man City. Man City have this tendency of when a player truly wants to leave, they tend to allow it to happen. But of course, well away from the Premier League. He could be a casualty. Mahrez is on the list. Interestingly, no one's come in for Mahrez yet. But Mahrez is another player they're looking to move on. Dean feels that Raheem Sterling should actually be safe, if that makes sense. This summer, he actually thinks he's not the one. Gabriel Jesus will be the other player they look to try and move on. But that's very much dependent on will they sign a striker. Having said that, if they sign Jack Grealish, they can just false nine it all season. Do you know what I mean? And maybe wait for a Haaland, someone like that.
That'll be a risk. That'll be a risk.
It will be a risk. It will be a risk. It will be a risk. There's no doubt about it. Having said that, doesn't really score any goals. So I don't know if it's a big risk. Do you know what I mean?
What are you talking about? Doesn't score any goals? Sorry. Are you talking about Jesus? I like Jesus. I like Jesus. Look, let me tell you something I think about Jesus. I looked into his stats, right? Jesus is one of the unluckiest strikers in Premier League. Honestly, this guy's been living under the shadow of Sergio Aguero for a long time, and that's because Sergio Aguero is that good. And because he's that good, we don't see Jesus as a very, very good striker. But if you look at his returns across the how many years he spent, his appearance to returns is actually very high. He has 90-something goals in about 140 or 150 appearances. And he never plays more than 25 games in a season. So for me, this is someone that he knows is second best. He knows he's always going to be on the bench. But that return is, for me, is ridiculous, in my opinion. And now he's going to be...
That's true, but do you also put that to the fact that he is playing for Man City and most second strikers could probably get those numbers and he doesn't have to be Jesus?
That is a possibility. But whether you like it or not, whether you're playing in a big team or not, you still need to prove yourself. That's the reality. And what I'm trying to say, in essence, is it's always plays in the minds of players that know that they're second best or they're always going to be a substitute. It plays, if you look at it mentally, it is not easy. This is one of the most difficult tests of the mental capacity of players. For you to be sitting on the bench, knowing fully well that you're never going to start the next game. And now they're thinking of getting Kane. And he's thinking to himself, these guys don't rate me. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of things playing on this mentality. For me, for someone that is a second string striker, that return for me is better than people that are actually playing. Someone like Lacazette, for instance, that return is better than Lacazette. Let's be very honest with ourselves. Do you know what I mean? But then again, you can consider the fact that he's playing for Man City. I get that.
Yeah. I hear you. We're going to add Gunnar Express to this call with us now. Gunnar Express, I did see a tweet from you. I wanted to get you on. Right now, loads happening at Arsenal. I've just seen a tweet from Eduardo Haig. You said it looks like Arsenal are now back in advanced talks for Albert Sambi Lokonga, which we spoke about yesterday through Dean Jones, who said 100% they're going to go back in for him. You've had a bid for Emile Smith Rowe. You've turned down a bid from Villa for Emile Smith Rowe, and you bid 40 million for Ben White. You're going to go back in with a higher offer. Give me your thoughts, mate.
Well, obviously with the Smith Rowe thing, we'll start with that. I'm very happy that we've rejected that and we shouldn't sell him for anything. Not that I think he's particularly priceless, but he's a young player. He's an Arsenal fan and he's played really well for us and he's transformed the team. So if we do sell him, I'll be upset no matter what the price is, but I don't think personally he's leaving anyway. So I think that deal should be pretty, that's pretty much ended in my opinion. But the Ben White one, I'm not too happy with. I don't particularly rate him that highly. He is a decent player, but I haven't seen enough to warrant a £50 million move, which is what it will probably be. And I don't get how we're letting Brighton demand that money from us. Like, he's not that good. He's not a world-class player, or he's not a player that I think will particularly improve us a lot. He's definitely an upgrade on a holding, but that's not exactly hard to obviously improve. And with Saliba coming back, with Gabriel obviously hopefully regaining some of his form that he had at the start of the season, I don't see a need for a Ben White. I'd much rather go and get a more experienced centre-back, like we obviously had David Luiz, or we go and get a young centre-back who's already pretty much on the world-class scale. Someone like a Tapsoba, who I think is very near breaking into some of the best centre-backs in the world, because he's very good. But yeah, Ben White for me is not the one, especially not for the money that we're going to pay for him. We also have Mavropanos coming back from loan, who I think should be, personally, I think he should be getting a go. Obviously having a little trial period maybe. But
one, isn't it? Jeez, you got centre backs galore, man. Like, you don't actually.
That's the thing, but this is the issue. So many of them they're just poor. Holding's poor. Gabriel has had moments where he's been good, but overall he hasn't been great. I do think he can improve and obviously get better, and he's young still, but. Yeah, Mavropanos for me is a weird one. I think a lot of fans forget he even exists, to be honest. He's been on loan, I think, the last 2 or 3 seasons now. But he's impressed a lot at Stuttgart. I mean, I watch a lot of Bundesliga and he's impressed me when I've watched him play, to the point where I'd give him a go. I'd maybe put him on the bench, use him as a holding replacement, someone who's going to come off the bench every now and then. But it appears that Arteta don't want him, that he's going to sell him off. So, but yeah, Ben White, he's really not the one for me. I don't see too much quality. Again, I get that he's an improvement, but for me, there's better improvements that are cheaper. And I think with Ben White, unless we're obviously trying to fill the homegrown quota, which it might be the case, I just don't see a £50 million move being worth it, to be honest.
With the whole thing you said about price and how they can demand it, I feel like as fans of bigger clubs, we just need to accept that these smaller teams don't need our money.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? They've got the Premier League money, and they've got ambitions as well to become better themselves. So why would they bow down to the demands of us big teams if actually, wait, we've got a plan, we've got something we want to do, we don't actually need your money. So if you want our things, pay up the premium, because at the end of the day, there will be, in their eyes, they're losing one of their best players. So that is why they will slap these prices on. And if you're really serious, they will accept an offer of 50 million. But we're not, as big clubs, we're not that serious in getting these players because we don't feel they're good enough.
I think for me, right, just like I said the last time to Terry, I feel people are getting woke. People are getting woke in the sense that you look at the Aston Villa owner, I'm hearing he's one of the richest owners in Premier League right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
These guys are willing to invest. I think Man City have kind of put a blueprint. If you want to be a big club, demand it. Demand it with money. You know, if you have that money and you can go for anybody you want to go for. And I think that's what's happening right now in Aston Villa. The question is, will the Kroenkes wake up? That's the question.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what with Villa, as you say, their owners are worth the split. One's worth about 7 billion, the other's worth somewhere in the region of about 800 million. That's a lot of money. It's a hell of a lot of money. And I feel a bit sorry for that you get some of these these clubs that get the billionaire owners now. They've come in the era where there are financial fair play regulations and Premier League equivalents that sort of stop their owners from just pumping in 300 or 400 million pound on players. You know, where Chelsea and Man City were very lucky is that those rules weren't in place when their owners came in. It's going to take now new billionaire great owners a lot longer to build their teams up than it did Chelsea, than it did Man City, because of the restrictions on spending. But they are going to pump a lot of money into this. And I think if FFP rules start to become a little more relaxed, which people think they will be, you'll see Villas fly up out of nowhere. And, you know, don't be, I still wouldn't be shocked if in the next 12 to 18 months, it was announced that Newcastle is being taken over by the Saudis. And if that happens, watch them start to do the same thing as well. And I think that's where Arsenal, along with my club, Man United, even though we're still higher up the league than you guys, we need to watch out, because if you get 3 or 4 more brilliantly run football clubs who are owned by billionaires that are allowed to start spending more, sort of original Chelsea settings, original Man City settings, we've all got to be careful, because it's going to be impossible to take their players away from them. Impossible. And they're going to come after ours. And if we're still stumbling, treading water, or going backwards, these young players, maybe I got a gal's point right now. I don't think Emile Smith Rowe wants to leave. It could be a very different story in 18 months, 2 years time. If you're still where you are now, if you haven't improved, but Villa have gone to that next level, there's no reason for him to stay at Arsenal. And that's the same as at my club. Like I will implore, if we're still doing what we're doing 2 years time, I will beg Mason Greenwood to leave, because he's better than that, you know. And it's going to be an interesting summer, no doubt. Ben White, I think you're going to go for him. I think you're going to get him. I think you're going to get this Lukonga. I think he's going to come in. Ruben Neves is another that I think has got I think Ruben Neves could be in your club as well.
But how many people? Can I say this quickly? How many people? I mean, we can't get. I don't think it makes sense to get Lukonga and Ruben Diaz, because they're both holding midfielders, the way I understand their roles. So I don't see them. It's either one or the other. You see what I'm saying?
And again, you guys losing Xhaka and potentially Elneny as well.
No, but I'd argue different. Lukonga isn't a holding DM. He's more of a number 8. From what I've seen from Belgian analysts, you know, analysts that work for teams in I think it's the Pro League or whatever.
Oh, you mean it's more like a box-to-box, isn't it?
Yeah, he wouldn't play alongside Partey. That would be the worst midfield you could probably ask for, because they're both so similar. He would play under Partey as a bit of a understudy. So bringing him in still makes sense, as obviously Partey is, I think he's like 28 now, so he's relatively aging. So Lukonga coming in as an understudy to Partey would be brilliant, but I think some fans expect him to defend, expect him to do those defensive abilities, and he can't do them. That's the one thing that he struggles with. So,
but don't you think?
Be careful.
Don't you think that's what we need right now in Arsenal? Don't you think what we need right now? Because I'm not entirely convinced yet with Partey. Honestly, I am not, based on his performance this season. He looks jaded, looks tired. We expected a Vieira, right? But we're not getting it. We're getting like a £1 or Poundland shop Vieira, in the manner of speaking. You know what I mean? With all due respect to him. But We need someone that's like a policeman whose job is to intercept, tackle, and clean any messes up from other players. That's what we need right now in the midfield.
Basuma.
And we don't have that player right now.
Yeah,
Basuma probably will have done it.
Basuma's the one.
But yeah, but we keep hearing this is the thing, right? Except Arsenal are trying to do things under the radar. I can understand that. But right now we look very unserious. As simple as that. We look very unserious. Except they're trying to do things in secret. Then I can understand what they're trying to do. But no one can tell me right now that these guys are really serious, apart from the news we heard about Bundia. Everybody's hopes were high. And look at what happened. We can't trust these people anymore with this behavior. It's difficult.
Yeah, you guys are in a weird predicament because your fan base want the big names, but you can't afford it. And then when you try and do smart business, your fan base don't want those players. So it's kind of like, what do you guys do? Like, what is the moves that you guys want to make? I know you guys want Basuma, but I don't know, for whatever reason, Basuma isn't the #1 target for your midfield.
I don't think it's that we can't particularly afford it. I think people need to realise that we do have a lot of money. Arsenal are still one of the richest clubs in world football. For me, what I worry with is that the Cronkies won't spend it. I think we do have a lot of funds sitting available, but obviously the Cronkies have to allow us to actually use that money. And the other worrying thing is the people using the money. I don't trust Edu with anything. I never have since he joined the club. I knew he was too inexperienced, and I think he's showing that, which is why I wanted us to go and get an Overmars or I wished for a Campos, but we weren't going to go and get him. But I think we do have the money, and I have a feeling that with this Ben White deal, I do still think we'll sign him. I'm not happy with that, but I have a slight feeling in the back of my mind that it's actually us just trying to show our financial muscle, to try and say to clubs that we do have a lot of money, that we're very willing to spend big money if we deem the player good enough. And I think I hope that's what it is. But
let me
you don't want that. You don't want that
quickly.
You don't want that. So,
let me say this. Let me say this. I was gonna add on to that, and I was gonna say what you're gonna say, but a little bit different. So I want to say this. Forget about the whole flexing our muscle thing. We should be doing it a different way. We should be flexing our muscles in a way, walking away from deals, telling them we are serious. But you know what? We're not going to be taken for mugs. We're not going to be taken for guys who are going to be paying over the odds for players, and at the same time, not getting our value in return for our own players. We need to stop letting other teams drive down our players' prices. And then when we're going out to buy a player, we're being told, oh, that player costs 4 million more than what you want to pay, or 6 million more than what you want to pay. You know what? This is what we're willing to pay. If you don't want to give him to us, we're going to go elsewhere, because scouts do your job. There's more than one target. There's more than one center back that we can go sign. There's more than one midfielder we can go sign, and of the quality. And you know what? When there is a £7 million goalkeeper standing right there in front of us, we should be able to scoop that up. And if we don't think he's good enough, put him as a second string. We don't need to be wasting our time. Onana deals right there. Sabitzer, these kind of guys are available, but we're wasting our time going after other targets and going after other players and looking at all these other options when we could just be like Man City, be like other clubs, and just say, you know what? This is the player we want. Let's negotiate behind closed doors. 2 days, deal's done. But we don't have that. And I'm not going to listen to all this fear-mongering and BS from other clubs. Let me finish. This whole thing that pisses me off the most is us as fans. Today, we've been told 17 different stories. And the one story that I actually believe, is that Eddie Nketiah is up for sale. Mavropanos is up for sale. Saliba might not be up for sale. That might be BS, because we heard the opposite the other day. So we need to stop listening to all the stuff to hear.
Igal, what stories do you think are fake?
His post.
Okay, first things first. Saliba is not being sold. I don't believe that. I believe that there are clubs out there that are willing to buy him, and that is true. But I don't think the club is silly enough to sell him before we even him play a game for Arsenal. 1, 2, the Aston Villa bid, it can happen. But if Arsenal went and bid for Jack Grealish under the odds, and everyone just laugh us off. But when Aston Villa do it, it's considered ambitious, and there must be something behind it. No, it's just them trying a thing. Everyone does that. And then Real Madrid, we're not getting Odegaard. Let's stop. Odegaard's done. The conversation's over. He had a good little spat with us, but it's done.
You know what?
Can I say something?
Sorry.
After you, KJ.
After you. About the whole you don't want to overspend. You want to walk away and do X, Y, and Z. But we're in a seller's market. like it's been a seller's market for a long time now. Like literally, selling clubs have all the power. So you could go off and walk away from a next deal, but you're acting like you won't get quoted around the same price for your next target. Like it's getting to that point where we've like look at us and Jadon Sancho. If we walk away from Jadon Sancho, you're telling me that Leeds wouldn't whack 50 million on Rafinha or 60 million for Pedro Neto for Wolves? Like it's a seller's market, so there's only so much you can do before you are just literally just walking away from everybody.
Yeah, so just to say something quickly, in regards to what you said, Igor, there was something particularly you said. Is he still there? I think he's gone. There was something particularly Igor said that I didn't really agree with, where he said that other players are driving the value of Arsenal players down. I don't particularly agree with that statement. I don't think other teams are the ones driving the value. It's the performances over the years that's driving the value of the players. We need to understand something. Football is a business, it's a sport, but it's also a business. And in every business, it's almost like you're looking at the stock market. The prices of stock fluctuates depending on how people see that particular stock. If your stock is devalued, then it's based on maybe the company is not performing well, or every other factor that you can consider in how a business operates. In this case, Arsenal are not good. And based on the performances of these players, the price is definitely going to be affected. So I don't think it is the other teams that are driving the value down. I think we ourselves are the ones driving our value down based on our performances. As simple as that for me.
I agree with you completely. I really, really do. Listen, great calls. Thank you for everyone who's come on. Igal, Tade, Gunnar Express, of course, KJ. Who else? Neeks came on today. Leaf came on. That name, I don't know why that name tickles me every time I read it. Leaf. I love it. Everyone who's tuned in, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. I don't even know why it does. You just say about it. He's a good guy, though. Congratulations, by the way, to Tomori for sealing his deal to AC Milan, 28 million euros. Congratulations to him. I know he wanted that move. Not personally, I didn't know. I knew that because I read it. That makes it sound like I know him. Until next time, everybody, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. Smash the like buttons. We're back after Turkey versus Wales here on the Football Terrace. Until then, look after yourselves. Take care.